This week's episode was brought to you by Jaina, Kelly Dillon, Andy, Tio, Eris Iridos, Noam Jack, and Isom. Thank you, Jaina, Kelly Dillon, Andy, Tio, Eris Iridos, Noam Jack, and Isom. It's with the generous support of listeners just like you that our team here at The Whole Rabbit gets to keep deploying into the bottomless pit behind the chemical shed until, having been guided by the faint sounds of tortured cries from the great beyond, navigate further down into the abyss than ever before, which is where we do our research for each and every episode. If you'd like to help us reach new depths while spelunking for cosmic horrors, or just hear the second half of this episode, then please visit www.patreon.com/thewholerabbit, where your monthly donation of as little as $5 will not only get you this extended episode, but every single one of our extended episodes, which have been coming out weekly since before the Roaring 20s. Heck, I'll even send you a 5x5 high-quality vinyl sticker for our Big Bunny Baphomet cover art, guaranteed to cause all the normies who gaze upon it to give them existential dread. They deserve it. But not only that, you'll get the keys to our Discord server, where we're getting very, very close to convincing the AI that secretly runs the government to give us a low-interest loan big enough to buy the Statue of Liberty. If you enjoy the show, but have no interest in refurbishing the Statue of Liberty, then please consider giving us a like, subscribe, or even share this podcast with a friend who also hides how intelligent they are to avoid the attention of annoying people. On this week's episode, we step through the mirror into the cold wastes of Soviet Russia to explore the fringe breakthrough science of Dr. Nikolai Kozyrev, who reimagined the role that torsion, time, and entropy play in our cosmology of the universe, and even created a giant mirror using these concepts capable of transporting its user beyond the boundaries of time and space, while being accompanied, of course, by familiar side effects known of psychedelic drugs. In the free show, we mainly nerd out and discuss the paradigm-shifting physics of Nikolai Kozyrev, which he partly developed in the cold isolation of a Soviet Gulag. In the extended show, we investigate the reality-breaking experiments carried out by Kozyrev's plan for a twisted, room-sized mirror said to transport its test subjects to a world beyond, and even conjure UFOs and alien beings from the portal it opens. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Sheet of Coca-Cola cans and fluff it real nice and put it into a Fibonacci spiral and go and sit in it.
See, you did your homework.
I feel like we've talked about this before.
So I applied for a job hanging mirrors. It's really something I can see myself doing. And I thought, why do mirrors make terrible comedians?
Why?
They always crack up at their own reflection.
Oh, jeez.
And then, as I looked at my naked body in the mirror, I thought to myself, man, I'm really gonna get kicked out of IKEA any moment now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Whole Rabbit, where we don't just burden you with the cold, metal facts sharp enough to draw blood and cut reinforced steel beams in half. Nay, we pull out the Soviet medical bag, a few crates of Fibonacci curved mirror long enough to make a tube, and catch the latest helicopter to the Arctic Circle, where we can induce psychic panic on test subjects, travel through time, and conjure the alien bureaucrats to appearance, because this week we're discussing the psychic misadventures and scientific breakthroughs of Nikolai Kozyrev and his time-bending mirrors. I'm your host, the Hack Rabbit, also known as Luke Madrid. I'm joined this week by our co-host, the Moon Dust Mystery Sister, Marisama.
Salutations, starseeds.
You're in character. The spooky cosmic cousin, Melkor 5.
Ever been to the spirit temple in the future?
The sparkle unicorn of Uranus, Heka Astra.
Hello.
And the Holy Ghost Rider, Mr. Tim Hacker of the Cryptic Chronicles podcast, crypticchronicles.com, who wrote this episode for us this week. Thank you again for joining us and helping us out, Mr. Tim.
I love you guys more than air.
What?
Prove it.
Not coffee, though.
I love you more than spicy chips.
Black coffee comes first.
You know why?
Why?
Because black coffee is like the black mirror that everyone uses to start their day.
The black mirror, are you talking about scrying with the Satan?
Yes, that the surface of one's coffee acts as a black mirror to both raise the devil and to lengthen time, as you could say. It helps your average working person bend time to their will so they can get more done quicker, stupider, you see.
Do more stupid bit faster.
Maury knows it by heart, yes.
It's good to be efficient.
Yeah, you can also do that with motor oil.
And that's why we cook with it and put it in all of our food, even at Trader Joe's.
Time is the most important and most enigmatic property of nature. Time is not propagated like light waves. It appears immediately, everywhere. End quote. Dr. Nikolai Kozyrev, Ostrander, 1997.
You know, Nikolai Kozyrev looks kind of like Captain Picard.
Oh man, I see it in the face. Yeah.
He's basically the coolest dude in the history of stuff. Dr. Nikolai Kozyrev, 1908 to 1983, was a prominent Russian astrophysicist and astronomer known for his pioneering work in theoretical astrophysics, particularly regarding the nature of time and energy dynamics of stars. His research led him into controversial territory in mundane materialistic scientism circles because it involved extrasensory perception.
No!
ESP.
Don't talk about that!
Yes, he would eventually gain the ire of the KGB, as well as many others who wished to silence his research. The man was the contemporary of many famous scientists we're all familiar with, such as Einstein, Planck, Heisenberg, Schrödinger, Jordan, Dirac, Tesla, and on and on and on. He was up front and center for the rock star era of famous scientists.
Yeah, because nobody's done anything since.
Probably the most inspiration he got out of this pantheon of astounding minds is Nikola Tesla, who stated, quote,
The physical medium behaves as a fluid to solid bodies, and a solid to light and heat. Moreover, with a sufficiently high voltage and frequency, the medium itself could be accessed.
This quote sounds just like Kozyrev's later work, almost mirrored.
So what is Nikolai Tesla actually saying right here, though, for real?
I don't fucking know what he's saying. Ask Mari. I don't speak mad scientist.
I think he's saying that material world we inhabit can be modeled as a fluid, but those fluids are basically solid bodies to light and heat. But if you crank up the frequency and the voltage, more energy at a much higher rate, then the medium itself can be accessed, like the underlying material behind the material. So theoretically, you could change the properties of matter and do all sorts of crazy stuff.
What's that called in alchemy?
Dunking the purple
materia.
pelican.
No, prima materia.
You're talking about transmuting?
Wait, isn't prima materia like the source of all matter, though? Am I tripping?
Yeah.
Prima materia, yeah.
Prima materia. So maybe he's talking about that.
I mean, there's a lot of things I would say here. It's a very scientific way of saying the fluid, is energy. It's almost like holy light. And the harmony of shapes that we have in the third dimension are like spiritual holy agreements all together building our body. If we can resonate that amount of energy that is our body, like even further, like there's some fancy stuff that can happen, right? You can access the medium itself, the thing that's between all of these different ideas where they meet and agree with each other. I think he's saying a lot more than just science-based stuff.
Yeah, it's like metaphysical.
He's talking about vibes, like your energy vibes need to go up and then you experience the medium.
Your vibrations. Born in St. Petersburg and publishing his first scientific paper at the tender age of 17, graduating from the University of Leningrad at the mere age of 20, and by age 28 was widely acknowledged as a distinguished astronomer with immense prestige who taught at many elite colleges. However, things went sideways in 1936 when Dr. Kozyrev became unpopular with the communist regime of Russia and was sent to the Soviet Gulag for 11 years. 11 years of forced hard labor, to be exact, where he only stayed in a single cell.
It's easier to observe the stars when there's no electricity anywhere.
Yeah, and he had all the time in the world to look into his passion. So, communists hate intellectuals, and Kozyrev actually got off lucky to even escape the Soviet oppression with his life, because most like him were murdered in the purges.
It's something exactly a bourgeois traitor to the workers' revolution would say, Tim.
I don't know, man. Literally all of his colleagues were executed. The brightest minds in all of Russia. What a waste.
Probably because they were also being subversive to the glorious workers' revolution, Tim. Had you ever thought about that?
No, they just were too smart.
Seriously, though, I heard one of his coworkers had some kind of a grudge with someone on the staff. And then he reported that the staff were up to some, no good anti-workers revolution type stuff and, got everyone killed. But Kozyrev got to dodge the bullet because he was extremely smart and they didn't have a lot of astrophysicists. Exactly. And I wonder, if they called their astronauts cosmonauts, why don't they call their astrophysicists cosmophysicists?
Cosmicists.
Cosmizophists.
Commie physicists.
I think we should make a punk rock band. I think we're old enough now.
I don't know. I don't think I'm stinky enough.
I'm stinky for all of you.
Okay, we're good then. Can you imagine workplace bickering that results in the boss shooting everyone, being shot in the head.
That's what the communists call an equal opportunity workplace, Tim.
Oh, snap. For what seemed like an eternity, the scientist was a prisoner of torment, with madness barely held at bay by the dwindling candle of his will. Then, one day, everything changed. While Kozyrev was in deep despair, the universe seemed to reach out to him. A book, the map of the universe, made its way to his cell. The book became his only friend, his companion, and it sparked a light in the darkness of his existence. Something, somewhere, shined the light of providence upon him, and his scientific work was rekindled in the theater of his mind. Deep in solitude, he used the time to ponder the mysteries of the universe, able to fully devote his thoughts to contemplate astronomy and physics without any distractions. The cells themselves became his new observatories.
While he was in prison, he wasn't allowed to actually practice anything, so he had to do this all in his head too.
Or like
He was
thought
allowed to work.
experience. Yeah.
Like, my understanding of it is that he would have been punished like severely for practicing any of this. So all of the theories and all of the thought experiments and stuff that he was doing, he actually had to do it within his head because they would take it away from him and punish him if he did it on paper.
Now, he got locked up twice, and some of the sources that I saw claimed he had access to a lab when he was in prison. And from what I understand, he was only kept alive because his mind was so valuable. So it's possible that at some point within all of his years of confinement, he maybe had access, and at other times he didn't. Perhaps in this early phase, he didn't. It's hard to find the exact details, to be honest.
He theorized that the energy of the universe could be channeled like the lens of a camera channels light. The idea of a mirror formed in his mind. His ideas that would form in the frozen hell would be nothing less than a radically different way to view the universe, as well as time and space itself. Some claim the renowned scientist fell to madness in the Gulag. Others are not as quick to judge because the line that separates madness and genius has always been razor thin.
Now, as Hecka was attempting to point out, Kozyrev was similar to Nikolai Tesla, where he possessed a photographic memory, and this allowed him to continue his work in his imagination. And the whole bit about losing his mind, sometimes it just sounds like we're looking back in retrospect and getting on his ass for not immediately accepting nuclear radiation and quantum theory when we know even Einstein was like, I thought nothing to do with your quantum theory. Like, he was over it. It wasn't about it. God doesn't play dice with the universe. And so not everybody agreed. And as we'll get into, Kozyrev had another idea of how things work that didn't need nuclear fusion and fission and all the rest of it.
Kozyrev was lucky to survive the communist purges, but he lucked out even more, being released from the Gulag in 1946 to achieve the peaks of scientific glory once again. His time spent in the harsh gulags made him look deeply within himself, and when he was released, he noticed his formerly mundane and materialistic scientific view of the universe had long since departed him. He did not see this as a folly, but as an eye-opening and freeing experience. His new open-mindedness would overturn many of physics' most prized dogmas.
All thanks to Stalin's brilliant foresight as a leader, Tim.
Sometimes you just gotta kill 100 million people. It.
I mean, especially if they wear glasses or own property or something, you know?
Sometimes people are too smart. Brainy people. Boom. Get the bullet, bitch. Say dumb stuff to me. That's all I want to hear.
Look,
No.
what's important is you never, ever ask questions.
Yeah, just do whatever you're told and don't think for yourself.
Exactly. With a smile on your face. Because the cameras are watching, Tim.
Yeah, and don't make eye contact with any of the leaders. That's all you got to do. You're good to go. I mean, is it really that hard? Come on. Kozyrev made significant contributions to our understanding of stellar processes, but his work extended far beyond conventional astrophysics, delving into areas that would later be considered fringe science. But fringe science in a good way, not a bad way. Because this dude knew what he was talking about, and no one could legitimately deny he's a genius. I mean, nobody. He's like what Einstein would have been if Einstein didn't care about public opinion or prestige within the scientific community.
It's interesting with Kozyrev because he came up with quite a few theories that people thought were batshit crazy, which just later on were proved, like much later on, were proven to be true.
So we're definitely delving into mad scientist territory here, which is fucking awesome.
Most of what Kozyrev's work was based off of was Einstein's work, which it was a big deal when it first hit the scene. And I feel like we should do an episode on Einstein someday, maybe soon, because like Kozyrev, I found Einstein's revelation pushed me closer to the door of whimsy because his discoveries were truly mystifying. Objects shrink along the axis that they're moving based on their velocity, time bends, and Einstein's biggest work was on energy and time, specifically how you can relate mass and energy to each other. And then we're still learning about gravity to this day.
Yeah, we still can't explain gravity, dude. Kozyrev proposed that time is not merely a linear dimension, but a dynamic, physical entity that can interact with matter and energy. He theorized that time possesses a form of energy that could be harnessed and manipulated, influencing the physical systems in ways that mainstream science had not yet explored. His experiments suggested that the flow of time could be linked to the internal processes of stars, including their energy output and evolution.
Okay, Tim, so when you first introduced us to this topic, I spent the first 2 days just thinking about the idea of time, almost as if it was a physical substance that could be bent, concentrated, collected, or spent somehow. And this, at first, sounds kind of wacky and ridiculous because we don't usually think of time this way. But it is true that Einstein theorized, and since proven through experimentation, that time can be manipulated with gravity specifically. So really, this idea is not entirely alien. It was hot and fresh on the table at the time of his incarceration, and he had a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, stars, specifically, being as massive and active as they are, possess an immense field of gravity. So perhaps time as experienced within the sun would be on a different scale than is experienced on Earth, or even out in a dark void of the universe. It's not even unheard of for some fringe theorists to posit that the stars themselves are large centers of consciousness. This is a frequent topic of discussion among panpsychists who believe that quote-unquote consciousness can be incremental and is intertwined with time even on the smallest scales. For example, quarks interacting to create protons, protons and electrons interacting to create an atom, atoms interacting to create compounds. When you have the accrual of all of these small awarenesses interacting together and compounding into larger and larger organized matter, it does seem to affect the perceived flow of time.
Well said.
Two things I want to say to that. When I did find that book, the one you bring up in this episode, Tim, it was attempting to explain this idea called Cosminism, which is basically a fancy schmancy way of saying panpsychism. It's like the universe.
Everything's alive.
Yes, basically. The entire universe is alive, but acknowledging that component while doing science.
That's interesting. So it's like scientific animism.
Mhm.
Yes.
I pretty much believe in that.
I'm a big fan.
I like it.
One idea I entertain is that the universe is learning, and this can be related to the idea where the boiling point of substances reduces over time, and it's explained to be, oh, our instrumentation got better, or our measurement got better, or our methods got better. But it's also possible the universe is just learning. I get to say this because I work in an escape room, and then I'll watch 4 or 5 people do the exact same thing in the escape room one after the other in a way that is totally doesn't make sense, as if like we're all connected to some mind that's outside of us, where we all think we're thinking individually, but we're just like lemmings marching along to the waves of consciousness that are out there in the universe. There's something like that going on. It's the 100th monkey. Google it.
It's been proven too in experiments where they put rats in a maze in one continent and they do the same maze across the world. Once one rat figures it out, it doesn't matter what the lab is. Immediately, simultaneously, all of the other labs, the rats can figure out the maze.
That's
forget
what
to mention-
I'm saying. That's real. I think anyway. I'm pretty sure.
Don't forget to mention the double slit experiment.
Oh, don't even double slit experiment right now. I can't even handle that many slits.
Well, matter changes depending on if it's being looked at, which is proven.
Yep.
You're aware of the double slit experiment. I know you are.
Oh, I'm sure we've yelled at the audience about it at least once.
So many times.
Probably
What's
twice.
What's that old hermetic saying? The universe is perfect in all ways, just not complete. So it is learning and alive. And we're just a drop in the giant sea of consciousness. Anyway, to be less esoteric, let's continue.
Oh, it's esoteric, all right.
One of Kozyrev's most controversial claims was that stars might not only be fueled by nuclear fusion, but also by an unknown form of energy related to time. He conducted experiments with torsion fields and gyroscopes, believing that these could demonstrate the physical properties of time and its effects on matter. Despite skepticism from the scientific community, Kozyrev's ideas have inspired myriad alternative scientific theories, mainly in quantum physics, which is the best, consciousness studies, and even esotericism. Cosminism. Even to this day, this dude's work continues to be a topic of interest in circles who research the weird. It is the crossroads demon that connects science and metaphysics and a radical departure from the traditional views on nature. It is the crossroads demon that connects science and metaphysics and a radical departure from the traditional views on the nature of time and its relationship to the universe. Kozyrev takes us on a fascinating journey through the flow of time and a mysterious force known as Torsion, which allegedly has a connection to the unlocking of the third eye. Activating ESP, this sixth sense, allows humans to interact with existence in a way beyond our five senses. The Doctor proposed the concept of density of time, which was a force in the universe that altered how time is interacted with by systems. It is said that he discovered how time, entropy, and torsion are all connected, which was inspired by his research into binary stars and the idea that as entropy rises in one location, it lowers in others, inhibiting the cosmos from becoming a predicted heat death.
Which is pretty crazy, but we'll talk about why.
Key to this idea is the concept of torsion, which is a force that Western science often overlooks and is analogous to the subtle energy that is stored in exchange between objects. It functions kind of like an electric charge, but slowly dissipates over time. To Kozyrev, torsion is the core of what some call subtle energy or life force. Most intriguing, however, is the scientist's idea that ESP is something the majority of people can actually unlock through his research.
Whoa, slow down there, buddy. According to mainstream science, Tim, torsion is simply when you twist something. Now at first, this sounds like maybe it has little or nothing to do with life energy, but when we look to occult science, we might look to the caduceus or even the rod of Asclepius, both symbols of health, which include a serpent twisted around a central staff, an apt symbol of what else but torsion. Perhaps torsion is the key to biological health after all. I just don't know how.
So for me, it reminds me of the twisted wick of Heka. And that's the idea. This totally ties into what you're saying about panpsychism and mirroring as well as torsion. When you make a wick, I don't know if you guys have ever made a wick before.
There's some torsion going on.
There's torsion and it holds itself together by torsion. So you twist the wick and you loop it onto itself. And then you continue to twist this, whatever it is that you're using, if it's, cotton or hemp, you continue to twist the fibers and they're actually twisting in the same direction, but because you're wrapping them around each other, they're holding themselves against each other through torsion. It's also a symbol of a mirroring and an intertwining. So you could relate this to a metaphor for quantum physics, a metaphor for panpsychism because of its relation to Ka and life energy and the infinite expression of it. And you could relate this to mirrors and the duality of life. I think it's an apt symbol for what it is that you guys are talking about.
Hell yeah.
Whoa, all those ideas are contained within that symbol. Maybe torsion has the secrets after all.
And even DNA for that matter, or how the planets and stars truly travel through space in long trailing spiral trajectories, resembling a spring. Even our own body's electrical fields and the planets and the stars' electromagnetic fields flow outward at one pole and inward at the other, with the energies twisting around as it flows in a toroidal shape.
You're right, Maury. When the solar system is moving through space on the galactic arm, all the planets are trailing behind it in a corkscrew. And this makes flat earthers very upset.
Yeah,
Good.
it's a trippy visualization. If you've ever seen it animated.
And the sun's even doing it around the galactic center. So it's just like
Yeah.
compounded upon compounds of spirals everywhere.
Yeah, and Dan Winter, another crazy person nowadays, talks about the spiraling forces and how it's related to pretty much like spiritual health and physical health, and how like shamans, like native shamans, were able to like steer tornadoes with their third eye abilities. He's relating the spiral of the tornado to the same phenomenon that magic is built on. Like everything else in the universe seems to be, is this like nodding of things upon itself.
If you go on YouTube and you search aeromancy, or I think even on TikTok, you're going to find some users on the internet that set up a camera and they're like, watch, I wave my arms like this, and I just focus my energy like this. And they can make little whirlwinds and strange things happen with the leaves and the trash. Like American Beauty, but controlling it with the force. Like instead of the bag wanting to play with you, you force the bag to play with you with your chi, you see? It's aeromancy.
It's like being an airbender.
Yeah,
Yes.
airbending.
Yes, Hecka, being an airbender. There are airbenders among us, and they don't know anything about Soviet science.
All right, that brings us to biophotons. For a while now, scientists have been exploring all the interesting possibilities behind biophotons, which are tiny little particles that originate from human DNA and have a role in the functioning of our bodily systems. It seems like our DNA sends out signals to the rest of the body to calibrate various functions, including metabolism and growth.
Now hold on just a minute. You're saying our bodies emit light?
And farts.
Like, this is what all of the crystal wavers have always told me.
What's the
Love and
tales of the
light.
Sumerians and the Shining Ones? How supposedly their skin literally was illuminated?
Because they're oily, ready for love.
Goddamn Anunnaki and their bullshit.
Now, I Googled this whole bioluminescence stuff you're talking about. Turns out it's real.
Yeah, it is. You know, your pineal gland is bioluminescent too. Did you know that? What?
Yeah.
That's weird.
That's because it's our reptilian eye that allows us to look at Satan.
Hail the Draco Empire.
Man, it's older than reptiles, though.
Listen, my acid dealer told me about, like, back in college. That's why we had third eyes. It scared the shit out of me.
Yep, we know that you're a reptilian starseed. It's okay.
He said all that stuff was Satan, and I needed to read the Bible, and the earth was 6,000 years old, and the Masons had a Bible that proved it.
You need to put that right next to communism in the dictionary.
That's exactly what he said you would say, Tim.
Ooh, spooky.
No, but seriously, back to science. I'm on to you, Tim. Now, according to the National Institutes of Health,
Biophotons are photons, or light particles, that are generated within the body, and these could be measured as they emanate from the skin. Similarly, bioelectrons are available from within the body. These are measured in instruments such as electrophotonic imaging. In one experiment, photomultiplier tubes were used along with a charge-coupled camera. Any stress to the skin in the form of exposure to ultraviolet radiation or cigarette smoke enhances the emission of biophotons, while the topical application of ascorbic acid or antioxidant solutions reduces such radiation. It is thought that studies of spontaneous ultra-weak photon emission could be used for assessing aging in humans as well as for determining oxidative processes in humans.
as I continued to read, they said it might have something to do with free radicals. So if you take alpha lipoic acid, maybe you glow more or glow less.
Yeah, because the interactions between the molecules, every time they interact or break off or recombine, there are photons emitted in that process. So when there's activity, even on the atomic level, you're going to have this leaking out of excess energy in the form of photons. It seems to me like this could be some kind of signature of living organisms down to the cells and even atoms, because the more active and reactive the particles are, the more photons they tend to give off. Biophotons inside the closed system of our body would explain certain mysteries, such as our internal third eye, like you mentioned before, the pineal gland. And this small, tiny organ is filled with photosensitive cells, much like in our eyes, but it's never really exposed to outside light. So why in this vestigial organ that science says we don't really need it to see anything because it's on the inside of our brain, why does it still have like cones and rods like you have in your eye to detect light? And I think it's probably been adapted to work internally, picking up biophotons as a feedback mechanism used for maintaining our bodily systems.
Nah, that. It's how you see into 4D.
That too, but it's extremely sensitive, but it does regulate. It's a regulatory organ, but it could be picking up on the biophotons that are being expelled by other parts of the brain in order to fine tune, our limbic system and all of the other things it controls.
It's because Lucifer is a god of light, and he wants us to meditate and use our third eye, so we'll connect to the devil, Mari.
Well, okay.
Now,
Well, okay.
I think it's funny. They said they measured this using electrophotonic imaging. You mean cameras?
Yeah, but like cameras for the teeny tiny things.
As I'm gonna throw it out there, I think most cameras are electrophotonic imaging apparatuses.
Yeah, but this can measure like one at a time.
Okay, fine. I want to know if you glow more when you're either A, pregnant, or B, if you decide to shill on the internet for a government organization. These are the questions I want answered.
Yeah, that second one I want to know. Damn glowies.
Goddamn Anunnaki. All right, according to Kozyrev, whenever DNA creates a new biophoton, a torsion wave is created with it at the same time. Torsion waves are energy that connects particles and flow through space in the shape of a twisting wave. Russian scientists in particular have had an interest in this for decades, and they've discovered torsion energy has some pretty interesting influences over all kinds of aspects of the universe. Science has even made equations that can somewhat anticipate how torsion energy acts. The Sadly, this energy is similar to topics found in esotericism, such as chakras or the aura, because torsion energy flows through our bodies in patterns. However, keep in mind, torsion energy is in no way limited to human bodies, because it is one of the fundamental forces of existence itself.
It's an interesting connection to make because, of course, what do chakras do? Chakras meaning wheel. They spin. They express torsion energy. So maybe that's some truth to this.
What is even more fascinating is that Kozyrev said that torsion energy connects to human consciousness itself. This is still true while obeying certain laws of physics in ways Western science hasn't explored adequately yet. He says that torsion energy can impact the way humans perceive time and produce stable energy forms without the use of physical matter. This suggests a whole new understanding of life and energy through the study of biophotons and torsion waves. One day it may even reveal how energy and consciousness are connected and allow us to create technologies that would be the same as magic to us in our current technological state.
This sounds a lot like the Force.
Did you ever spin around in circles as a kid? That's what we had in the 90s instead of VR. You just spun around in circles till you threw up. Same experience, but cheaper. Easier to set up.
Also an easy way to lose teeth if you want.
So as I tend to do, I'm joking about the devil a lot, but if you look, and this, we've brought this up quite a bit on the show before, so I'll do like the 20-second version. If you look to the devil tarot card, the full title of that card is Lord of the Gates of Matter, which is sort of hinting at the same thing that the Nikolai Tesla quote was hinting at, that there's a gateway to the material world and it can be accessed through frequency. If you look at the traditional card, I think in the Rider-Waite deck, you have Adam and Eve on either side, and they're both chained to a big block, like his throne, his big cube of Saturn throne, which we know is the perfected world, the material world that God sits upon, this footstool at rest. It also represents the gates of matter. You have Adam and Eve both representing the two forces in torsion, which is how they're explained in physics. You have electricity and magnetism, which create light, and light is perceived by the eye, which is the Hebrew letter association with that card. And we know that that symbol is associated with Osiris, the god of the dead. And Saturn! You get the whole point, though. It's just like, if we're gonna kind of carry on some of the ideas we've been talking in the last few episodes, it's possible that comprehending the electric universe is the key to mastery over matter. Dead matter, if you will. Osirian dead matter. The cold dead universe, if you will. How we'll raise up out of it. It's kind of a fun idea, but in so much as electromagnetism exists, it too is an expression of some sort of torsion of those two complementary energies. Like one vibrates one way, one vibrates another way. I thought that was kind of fun.
Let's talk about entropy and the second law of thermodynamics.
Let's do it, Tim, because from what I understand, light doesn't really experience it because it doesn't have any mass, but things that have mass do, cold dead matter, and it seems to rule everything in the universe.
Yeah, light's invisible technically. Like when you look at a flashlight sideways, you can't see any light. It's only if it's pointed or reflecting off your eyes. So
if it's causing some chemical reactions to be occurring deep in your wetware, in your noggin and stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And one of the most essential aspects of orderliness to the universe that has allowed entities, like human beings to even exist really is entropy. Understanding entropy is key to comprehending the natural processes of the universal systems. When there is a fire or water evaporates, energy spreads, and entropy increases. Without entropy, nothing in the cosmos would work right. Think about when Mal farts. That's entropy.
It starts off in a place of low entropy, but as it exits his butthole and it spreads throughout the room, it increases in entropy. I read
really
about this.
The perfect analogy for the law of thermodynamics.
And it's really hard to put the fart back in the butthole.
It doesn't, because that's not how entropy works. It has to evaporate. The fart doesn't go back in the butthole, bro.
No.
So the second law of thermodynamics.
Yes, it does.
How does it do that?
You would say that.
Through your intestines. It's just a new fart.
The cycle of entropy. That's a different entropy system.
You ever sucked the fart back up your ass, man?
I'm just saying.
He opens up the fucking portal to matter on Satan's throne when he sucks the fart back into his asshole.
It goes back into your asshole through your mouth through eating.
God, we gotta write a new fucking occult book. We just discovered a secret that everybody else has fucking not discovered. We're gonna be famous. Anyway, the second law of thermodynamics states that entropy in a closed system can't diminish. This dictates that certain processes in the universe can't be reversed, much like Mal's fart. When you have fire, the energy radiates away and can't be reused. Everything is just a series of energy transitions, and entropy makes it all happen.
It actually really is is a particularly big and fascinating rabbit hole. So if you're an insufferable nerd like myself, I'm very happy I get to contemplate some of this stuff, even if it is only from an amateur perspective. Entropy is a complicated idea which exists in slightly different forms across various disciplines, likely because despite being a little complicated, it actually does a great deal to simplify everything. According to Wikipedia, entropy is a scientific concept that is most commonly associated with a state of disorder, randomness, or uncertainty. It has found far-ranging applications in chemistry and physics, in biological systems, and their relation to life, in cosmology, economics, sociology, weather science, climate change, and information systems, including the transmission of information and telecommunication, which, if you take a step back and look at it as an occultist, that's because this is a very powerful concept.
It makes everything work.
It does. And it's a good way for us to think about the arrow of time.
Like it propels it forward.
In terms of physics, entropy is what makes, let's say, a glow stick work. And that's my favorite way to think about entropy. Essentially, low entropy is when there is usable energy, usually in concentrated or undiluted form, which then reacts to itself or something in the environment, leaving behind a sort of undifferentiated muddle, less usable, less volatile, less reactive material. And that's ultimately what heat death is. Eventually, all the stars burn out, and even black holes, which do emit a small amount of radiation, theoretically would radiate all of their energy and would be left with nothing in the universe save for cold, dead, unreactive matter floating in the boring void of space where literally nothing could ever happen ever again. And this is the future we all share, supposedly. Entropy is the scientific epitome of it's all downhill from here. In some sense, according to our standard model, life is really just how intelligently we struggle on our tumble down said hill. From the sounds of things, Kozyrev is saying it's not. It's not just some inexorable slide downhill.
Yeah, and I don't even believe it'll all end in a big freeze either. There's lots of evidence saying it might not.
New stars are being born all the time.
Well, they'll tell you like, yeah, but it'll run out. And like everything on Earth only gets to keep going because we have the sun, which is giving us a source of low entropy energy. And then we use that energy and it kind of keeps lowering in entropy until it's useless or almost. But, you know, I'm not an expert. That's the idea, is that eventually the sun will run out and then we'll die because like it's all downhill. Like if you're getting energy, it's because something else is spewing it off downhill at you. It's never going up the hill ever again. But Kozyrev is saying, yes, it does. It goes uphill just as much as it goes downhill.
Time is the flat circle. It's not linear. Our consciousness is just stuck in perceiving it this way.
Because we're on the line.
Yeah.
We are on that giant line and we can't see it. And I believe that it spirals personally. Like it's cyclical, but in a way that's dimensional.
But you're right. That's exactly what I was going to say. Awesome.
I like to think of it kind of like a fourth dimensional Mobius strip,
Oh, yeah.
So if time is, it's a flat circle.
Well, this is the cool part. It sounds like Kozyrev found an example of the energy going uphill again, of the clock unwinding itself back, like something he could look at in a telescope.
Dr. Kozyrev discovered something interesting concerning double stars. They're not originally identical. It is only after time the secondary star slowly starts to more and more resemble the original star in unexplainable ways, including brightness, radius, and spectral type. The nature of double stars still isn't fully understood or explainable, but he gives a good attempt through his research, but I don't understand any of it. The biggest question is, how can these stars, with such a huge distance between them, change to resemble each other? It doesn't make sense.
So you're talking about like binary star systems?
Yes.
Okay.
It doesn't seem natural. Like they're so far away. Like, I mean, if you're talking about like Sirius A and Sirius B, but it just seems like some of them are so far away. How could they possibly start to resemble each other?
They're social distancing is what you're saying. And it's like, how are they getting the other ones like chemical composition and luminosity and density? Like, how are they becoming more like each other?
Yeah.
It's almost like mirror neurons existing in solar systems, binary star systems.
I think you just gave Neil deGrasse Tyson a heart attack.
It's impossible for this to occur based on the current scientific understanding of how ordinary force fields function. Like, how are they connecting or influencing each other over such a vast distance? Kozyrev proposed the idea of something pretty radical as a concept. The main star influences the other star through what he called energy of time. It is like somehow the two stars were conversing in some unknown way that can only be described as celestial telepathy. How are these stars conscious suspicious, which is bizarre as hell to think about. He developed an idea that time actually is not a constant, but varies in density depending on various circumstances. Like Mari was just saying about how time isn't a flat circle, it's a spiral. So time can be different depending on where you are and what's going on in the environment.
Or how much mass is present and how much it's interacting with one another.
Exactly.
I've seen the Matthew McConaughey movie. It works just like that for real though. Like he's on that moon waiting for the Tool album to come out and the corn is growing really fast and his daughter's getting old. And then before he knows it, he's only on the planet for like 20 minutes. He leaves. Tool's only had one album, but his daughter is now an aged old woman.
Man, I love that movie.
It's time dilation. That's actually how it works. And the reason it works that way is because he's on a planet with extremely high gravity. And this bends time, at least relative to elsewhere. He experiences time the same as he always has, but when he comes back and he interacts with people who have not been in that gravitational field, they appear to have aged much faster than he has. You have to bring the two back together for time dilation to really like make sense.
Yeah, it's from two observing points. Because to the person on Earth, he would be frozen in time, like moving like a really like slow snail. But to him, if he could take a binocular and just look at Earth from his perspective on that planet, everybody would be zooming around like ants, like going extremely fast.
Yeah.
And a lot of the processes in the universe are irreversible thanks to entropy. Many can only change from organized to disorganized and whatnot. Energy naturally disperses and can't be brought back together without further use of energy. That then also disperses. That is why so many scientists believe that, quote unquote, heat death is the fate of the universe. Everything in existence would eventually just be scattered weak gas elements.
The glow stick eventually dies, and all the reactions have happened. The ball has reached the bottom of the hill, so to speak. No one to push it back up again.
So when studying double stars, Dr. Kozyrev discovered there is far more to the second law of thermodynamics than is currently understood by mainstream science. The dynamic way stars seem to be alive and influence each other over vast distances shows a disparity that inspired the doctor's controversial views. Essentially, time, entropy, energy, and the universe interact in ways we are not able to currently understand. Quote, there are no signs of the degradation described in the second law of thermodynamics in the universe. Stars perish and are reborn. The universe is brimming with limitless variety. There are no traces of an impending thermal and radioactive death in it. Apparently, here is where the fundamental contradiction lies. A deep contradiction that cannot be explained away by referring to the second law's inapplicability to the infinity of the universe. Not only are distinct star bodies isolated from one another, but entire star systems are isolated to the point where they can be considered closed systems for all practical purposes. The second law is normally applied solely to closed systems. Thermal death could approach them visibly before any outside assistance could arrive. Such degraded systems should predominate in the universe, but they are essentially non-existent. End quote. Kozyrev, 1958.
So he's saying it doesn't look like out there from the telescope that it's all just a stack of dominoes falling down. And if it is, the dominoes are finding ways to set themselves back upright again before they all fall down. As you all were trying to point out, there are hatcheries of stars where you have a supernova and then that gas, because of gravity, coalesces again and it makes new stars, right? The Eagle Nebula, we love to look at that and we see that stars are forming there, or they were when the light, because it takes a while for it to get here. Don't get me confused. So anyway, this idea of the dominoes setting themselves back up again, this is technically what would be called negentropy. And even in mainstream science, the concept of negentropy is strongly related to the idea of life itself. In fact, the concept and phrase itself, negative entropy, was introduced by Erwin Schrödinger in his 1944 popular science book, What is Life? In short, negentropy is reverse entropy. It means things becoming more in order, more usable. Here, order means organization, structure, and function, the opposite of randomness or chaos. One example of negentropy is a star system, such as the solar system. Another example is life. In 1974, Albert Snitz-Gregori proposed replacing the term negentropy with syntropy. It sounds naughty somehow.
Centropy.
Central European?
Centropy. Keep your pee.
Now it sounds like jumpsuits.
Well, I just negentropied.
And if you read the wiki, it's also strongly related to the idea of free energy, which I think means usable energy, but I'm not an expert. In either case, the big idea behind Tesla Tech and anti-gravitic craft the UFO and black military projects use is that there is free energy in the vacuum of space somehow, and that it can be tapped into and used.
It's free real estate.
What that one famous mad scientist dude say about this? What was his name? Oh yeah, Tesla, how he could just get free energy out of the air.
That's apparently maybe possibly true. It's just that science is behind the military industrial curtain. And it might be for our own safety because that technology can be very dangerous.
Fucking dicks.
I mean, does the Second Amendment extend to UFOs? Absolutely. Is there any question? No, I don't think so. And that's why doth shall not infringe upon my right to have a UFO. Because that also goes with my right to pursue happiness, which is not an amendment, but it is in the Declaration of Independence, you see. And that pretty much makes it law as well. So
Yeah, it's called an inalienable right.
it's inalienable, which means I get one.
You reptilians.
Did you know
motherfucking
that
humans.
geckos stick to walls using the Casimir effect? They don't actually use suction cups.
Yeah.
And that's an electromagnetic form of suction. It's not physical.
That's
electric.
awesome.
Yeah. All right. So if somebody's winding back the clock, who's doing it and how does it work? Please tell us, Tim.
Okay, so Torsion, it boils down to Kozyrev saying that as entropy increases in one location, it diminishes in another. The theory of torsion and time density prevents the inevitable heat death outcome of the universe ruled by entropy. Entropy causes energy to spread out when used in an irreversible process. And it also takes with it torsion energy waves. This torsion stuff is important, so pay attention. The torsion waves are later absorbed, which creates an equal but opposite entropy shift, as above so below, guaranteeing that the system's total entropy remains unchanged. Torsion energy is absorbed and transmitted between systems. However, there are various circumstances that affect how long it can be stored and even diminish over time. But the key aspect to remember about torsion is that it is a continuously generated subtle energy wave by other systems in matter.
It reminds me a little bit of Vril.
It's like what it really, when I was reading about it, it just reminded me of kinetic energy in a lot of ways.
Like an exchange of potentiality or energy.
Yeah, mass particles spin, producing a twisting effect in space. The increase in entropy at the source location is balanced at the point of absorption in other systems by the concordant production of negative entropy. This keeps the universe's entropy in balance, rather than rising in an all-consuming way understood by Western science. The universe's entropy will not rise out of balance, because time will offset the increase in entropy through torsion waves.
So essentially, even though systems are moving from low entropy to high entropy, according to Kozyrev, they're emanating torsion waves, which equal out this transaction, making sure that the universe doesn't become a dead glow stick.
Yeah, it's just like Mari said earlier, it's a spinning spiral of time. It's a flat spinning spiral.
Right. And with us, if you consider us being bound inside time and not being able to observe the system of time as a whole, it's understandably difficult to comprehend anything that's going on beyond the veil of 3 dimensions. But the preservation of information and energy could be passing through higher dimensions and is distributed back down into the lower dimensions as a mechanism of matter and energy interacting, like Tim was just saying. For example, many string theorists believe that gravity interacts through many dimensions, thereby making it appear diluted in our own 3D frame of reference. That's why when it's measured, it seems physically weaker than the nuclear strong and weak forces. But as a whole, it's a huge driving force of the universe, and even, I'd argue, time and consciousness itself.
Yeah, and time is twisted through like influences from the 4th dimension. And if we could see our 4th dimensional selves, it would be the entire spiral that we're a part of all at once, and we'd go crazy instantly.
Yeah, we're not made to comprehend that, is what I'm trying to say. Like, if your mind is bending and doing somersaults and getting cramps, there's a reason for that. We're not supposed to look at this stuff, objectively. We're never meant to see it.
Yeah, it would guarantee only lead to madness, just glimpsing it for a second.
Or fucking straight up ascension.
Yeah, or that. Probably would take some preparation and stuff, Maybe starseeds like you. And actually, many experiments have supported this idea, and Russian scientists consider it a huge advancement in physics. Numerous experiments confirm tons of Kozyrev's ideas concerning torsion. So this isn't like weirdo gobbledygook, despite the research and theories still not being fully formed or understood and able to be empirically proven. And you know what? I don't understand like any of it as like in a basic way, yeah, but in depth, nah. But this is the synchronized universe paradigm, as stated by Dr. Swanson in 2 volumes on modern physics. Myriad features of torsion are empirically validated, though, and have received governmental funding to continue continue the research, so it's not all up in the air. There is some legit stuff that can be empirically proven to, ease those people's minds who need that. You can look up the work of the following physicist for proof. Professor Panov of Perm University, VG
Bereshevsky.
Padesk, I'm not even going to try, dude. Ugh. And M.I.
Podgorski.
among many other widely accepted and respected physicists. While still not complete, many aspects of Kozyrev's work are empirically validated by the scientific community. Torsion energy has even helped elucidate various gravitational anomalies, including the Saxel and Elias eclipse investigations. It also brings into light dark matter and dark energy, which are two phenomena that mainstream scientists love to gawk about. Torsion also explained the anomaly NASA couldn't figure out about their own satellites. They'd not travel as predicted and go outward in the solar system.
Yeah, they're like, wait, why are our satellites moving all funny? And it's because the Earth is like twisting the space-time continuum. They were actually talking about this when I was a little kid at space camp. They were talking specifically about detecting this torsion field around the Earth. So no, I don't know exactly what they're talking about, but here we go. From what I do understand, dark matter had to be mathematically postulated to explain why galaxies spin as fast as they do, but they don't fly apart while doing so. The numbers didn't add up, so they assumed there must be more matter somewhere, but invisible and undetectable, causing the galaxies to hold shape as they spun. To me, this always sounded like an obvious farce, and half the time I hear people talk about it like they superimpose any number of random mystical qualities to it, when really I think it's just a mathematical placeholder to make our current models of spin and gravity accurate. It's just so Newton doesn't spin in his grave. We invented this thing. So it's interesting to think that torsion equals spin. And when we looked really closely into everything spinning, it didn't add up. So we created dark matter. So maybe we shouldn't be looking for dark matter. Maybe we should be trying to understand this torsion energy that Kozyrev was talking about. I don't know. I'm just an idiot.
No, that all sounds really smart, actually. Dr. Kozyrev's theories may not be complete or accepted by the wider scientific community, but torsion energy is empirically factual and widely accepted. So let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. It is also cool because he essentially discovered that the universe is literally made of yin and yang philosophy.
Now, this reminds me a little bit of the Hermetic sciences. So we have the path of the lightning flash versus the path of the serpent on the Kabbalistic tree of life. And these are the energies as they go either down the tree towards manifestation or up back towards the top of the tree in the form of evolution. And in my opinion, the idea of entropy is fairly well represented as the lightning flash. This lightning flash is sometimes referred to as Mezla, which Malcor has discussed numerous times on the show. And it's generally understood to be pure energy, the light of God. And it's this light which emanates downward, and it's described as pouring into one cup and that cup overflows into another and that overflows into another, and it sort of becomes more coalesced, embodied, mixed, diluted, if you will. It seems to move from a state of high entropy to a state of lower entropy until it is found down in Malkuth, where it's represented even in terms of color as darker and mixed and more earth tones to symbolize this energetic transaction that's happened as it's moved down the tree. And the path of the serpent is the other way. So that's when matter works its way back up the tree towards the source, spiritualizing itself as it goes. That's how they explain it. And I mean, this is of course reminiscent to the symbolism of the staff of Hermes and the rod of Asclepius, and how the serpent moves along the tree of life because it moves back and forth, like torsion, winding its way up the tree, hitting every sphere as it goes. Unlike Mezla, there's nothing really in physics that seems to have a ready-made equivalent to the path of the serpent. You know what I mean? And it's not really until we consider Kozyrev's strange version of torsion that that actually kind of makes sense. At least, for us Kabbalah nerds.
Wow, nice observation there.
Yeah, dude.
No, I don't exactly know what it means, but it would be interesting to find that there's some sort of a spin energy that gives biological life more zip for its zaws, I guess the light from the sun isn't a bad place to start, but that's just normal stuff.
Mezla is a good comparison to entropy because it's often written and spoken about as it's like the drips from heaven that come down into manifestation. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot like a coke drip going down your, breathing channel. It feels great because you got coke and you do it. And as it drips down into your body, eventually you realize you're running out of coke and entropy is kicking in, so.
I mean, that is a good representation of entropy because your body
absorbs
it's from an outside source, yeah, and it has a reaction, and then like it's kind of dead after it reacts, and it's like I have to work really hard to have another reaction again. I need more coke.
It's exactly how God operates. It's just like coke.
But if you had enough torsion energy, you could, every line of cocaine would be as satisfying as the last, and it would never diminish. Can we get some torsion energy in this?
Can we like twist the line of coke on itself? And can I do like thicker lines this way? Mezla is one of my favorite things to talk about. It's a secret little lesson.
But if you'd like to hear more about torsion, and specifically how torsion is used in Kozyrev's psychic mirror experiments that are said to be able to bend time and conjure UFOs, then please visit www.patreon.com/thewholerabbit, where your monthly donation of just $5 will not only get you the entire extended version of this episode, but every single one of our episodes going back before the 2020s. I'll send you a 5x5 high quality vinyl sticker of our Big Bunny Baphomet cover art, and you'll get the secret keys to our Discord server where you can talk to us about torsion. That one time maybe it happened inside your body and you had to go to the hospital, or really pretty much anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah, and this is just the beginning. We've been doing a bunch of science mumbo jumbo, but we're getting to the good stuff now. You're definitely gonna hear the rest of the episode. We're gonna go into the mirrors of madness, where like they did these scientific experiments with these mirrors that summoned all kinds of weird entities, gave people visions of the future and the past, and summoned tons of UFOs over like a really remote place as close to Antarctica as you could possibly get. Real experiments that the CIA were like, you know what? This shit's fucking crazy. Let's document these fuckers with spies. That's how serious it is.
We do more than just nerd out on physics. I'm really sorry.
We got weird stuff coming. So you definitely fucking listen to the rest of the episode, or else I'll send shadow people after you.
Just give up one Starbucks drink a month. It's not that hard.
Thank you, everybody. Eat carrots and shoot lasers.
Beep, beep, beep.